Today, I want to talk about the simplest way to repurpose your content across multiple platforms. Now, if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, you know he's always talking about make more content. You've got to be on TikTok and LinkedIn and Facebook and all the platforms, because if you're not, you're leaving money on the table. And he's right, because if we want to be known for what we do and we want to keep business ticking over, then we need to be making content and we need to be sharing it across multiple areas as well, because we don't just hang out in one place and we need constant reminders. But if you're a small business or a solo operator and social media isn't your strength, how do you do it? If you're creating content and want to share it with as many people as possible on as many platforms as possible, you need to have a strategic system of creating content in the first place. Hey, before we jump into the episode, I want to invite you along to our next video challenge. This time it is to launch your video podcast. Now, I'm a massive fan of YouTube, and that is my goal for this year, is to grow my YouTube channel. And the reason why I want to grow my YouTube channel is because I know that by making one strategic video a week, I can repurpose that across multiple platforms. And it's also how the search engines are finding a lot of information. So if you go over to ChatGPT or Perplexity AI or Google and you ask a question, they want to deliver, the search engines want to deliver the answer to you. And what often happens is they're finding that information on YouTube first. And the reason is because there's so much more information that they can scrape, such as your video, the description, the title, the thumbnail. All of this stuff is searchable content. And this is why being on YouTube this year is definitely a part of my marketing plan for 2025. And the reason why I encourage you to also launch your own video podcast. From that one podcast, you can actually create multiple pieces of content out of it, which enables you to be on all the platforms. And if you have a system on how to do it, it's going to make your life much easier. So day one is all about setting up your tech. We are going to set up your editing, your workflow and your AI assistants, and also just the gear in general of what you need. Now, you don't need any expensive equipment. And in fact, I've got a gear guide there that will help you set up your studio for under $100. Okay, so once we've got our tech set up, then day two, we are actually going to look at our topic planner. So we're creating content that the algorithms love and answer specific questions people are looking for. And then we're going to film our content, and then we're going to edit our content. And then day three, I'm going to share with you how to upload it and also distribute it across multiple platforms as well, and help you show you the repurposing method that I've created. Okay, so if you want to join, check out the show notes. All the details are there. We kick off March the 21st to the 23rd of March, and I look forward to seeing you there and helping you launch your podcast on YouTube in 2025. All right, let's get back into the episode. Welcome, I'm Deb Szabo, and in today's episode of Content Catalyst, I'm going to share with you the simplest ways that you can make and repurpose content across multiple platforms each week, and you don't need to be a tech whiz to do it. I'm going to share with you a streamlined system that helps you turn one video into 15 plus pieces of content that you can share across 7 plus platforms. Now, I'm talking about YouTube, your podcast, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, blogs, threads. This is all content that you can use with a simplified process. And here's the thing. I know from when I was making content, 2, 3, 4 years ago, how much it's dramatically changed in 2025. And that is because of AI. AI is a game changer when it comes to creating content efficiently. And I know myself that when I create this particular video podcast, I can now go and edit this really efficiently and also distribute it as well following this system. So let's look at why repurposing is essential in 2025. Number one, it saves you time. When you have a strategic workflow of making content and sharing it, it saves you time. I know when I first started my podcast, I actually put it off for about a year because I was like, I can't deal with any more extra things. But what actually ended up happening, it made me more disciplined to push out that hero piece of content, which I could then cut up into all of the different content pieces across multiple platforms. So it actually made my life easier, not harder, by doing that. And of course, when I launched my podcast, I essentially just started making video content as the video podcast format first. And I know a lot of people launch their podcast and they don't record themselves. And I get it. I 100% get it. Like turning up on video as a woman, especially, I have to think about it. I've got my hair and makeup done. I like to present, when I'm doing a good piece of content on brand. And I think it's a different headspace when you've got to press record on something as opposed to, I know some people go and sit in their car or in their wardrobe and just record in their pajamas. And I think that's awesome because you're getting content out there, but it's not enough anymore. And that's why I want to share with you a time-saving method on how you can get in and record your video podcast instead. All right. So the reason why we also want to do this method is because it increases your visibility as well. Now, I love it when people say, "Oh, Deb, you're everywhere." And I'm like, yes, I'm doing the job that I aim to do. And that is because what we think is repeating ourselves and saying the same thing over and over again, for a lot of people, it's the gentle reminder and nudge that we need, but we also learn in different ways as well. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more in this episode about how we take in information and how much information we actually need to convert. So the next part of why we want to repurpose content is because it boosts our SEO, so search engine optimization. And let me tell you, with AI now becoming the dominant way on how we search, as in using ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google now is, changing the way on how we search as well. But if you think about all of those search engines, they need to see relevant content. And what they look for is what we call EAT. And that is the expertise, experience, authority, and trust factor on your content, which increases your score rating for your relevance. So if you are creating one piece of content on just one platform, that's great. But as soon as the search engines see that you're also creating current content on your blog, on LinkedIn, and you're showing up on YouTube, and all of a sudden your score ranking goes up, and then you have a higher chance of being delivered as the solution to the person asking the questions by the search engines. So number 4, it increases conversion. And this is because you're popping up everywhere, as I said. And when people are taking in over 10,000 messages a day, we need a gentle reminder. Like, I know myself, I need a constant reminder when dinner's coming up. I'm sorry, I am that last minute person that books their ticket to the dinner and the lunch. I'm sorry, that is me. That is how my brain works or doesn't work, unfortunately. And I need that constant reminder. So when I talk to many businesses that are like holding summits and lunch events and things like that, and they're going, people haven't booked yet, it's because we need to be constantly reminding them to convert. And Inside Content Catalyst, my membership, this month we're talking about the marketing funnel and how that's changed, because what we used to do when we advertised, and I started out my career in advertising, is that we had this beautiful linear funnel of we put some ads up for attraction, and then we have their attention, and then we have their interest, curiosity, desire, and action. And that doesn't work like that in that linear mode anymore. So we have the attention there of your product, and then we constantly go through this loop of evaluating things, and we need that one trigger. And sometimes it can just be that one Instagram story that's the trigger for them to buy. And if you think about yourself, it's like when we are creating, events, and we're like, if people aren't booking to the last minute, I want you to think about how many touch points have you connected with your audience with. And I want to say that touch points are really important. Touch points are the amount of times that you are connecting with that person, whether that's personally or online. So a touch point can be they get an email from you. A touch point can be somebody was speaking about you. A touch point can be that you've popped up in a Facebook group. A touch point can be a LinkedIn post coming up. These are all different touch points that helps the person feel like that you're relevant. Now, Google have some really amazing research. One of it is called the 7-11-4 rule, and I've spoken about that in previous podcasts, where the 7-11-4 rule is how do we take somebody from a stranger into a buyer? And essentially, it takes 7 hours of them researching content, consuming your content over 11 different touch points over 4 different locations. So those locations could be, they could go to your website, they read a review. And like I said, all those touch points are so important. And that is what is happening now. And then if you add that to Google's messy middle research, it talks about then how we're triggered to go from evaluating to purchasing, and it's not in that linear approach anymore. So it helps with our conversion when we repurpose content across multiple platforms. Okay, number 5. It helps with different learning styles. 65% of us are visual learners, and it helps us to absorb information better when it comes in a different format. Have you ever noticed that you might have attended a webinar or a conference and somebody has got up and spoken, and you just really connected with that person? It really resonated with you, their message. Ironically, that message has been told over and over and over again to you over the years, but that one person, the way they said it, the way they expressed it was enough for you to feel motivated and connected to that person. And that is because we learn in different styles, and it can take someone just one message for them to feel like they're connected to you. If you authentically turn up as you as well, that's the other thing in that. Tony Robbins can be up there, being your guru and your motivator, and you just follow the information and you go, oh yeah, that's good. But all of a sudden you can go to that one webinar and feel really connected by that person, of how they said it, the way they said it, the way they made you feel. And that is because we learn differently. So when it comes to actually content, if you're thinking about the reason why we have visual content, so from a video podcast, for example, we can have a conversation. You're in the room with me, and I can look at you, and we can have that visual conversation and auditory conversation. If it's just podcast and you're out walking, you're immersed in that conversation with your headphones on, and that is why auditory learning is really powerful. But as I mentioned, 65% of us are visual learners. So if we're reading something, that is also really powerful. But when you combine reading, auditory, and visual together, which is the power of video, it helps us to absorb information better. And I know this because when we do, I work with an ad strategist, Stacey, shout out, and we look at, when we do ads, is that we do 4 different types of ads. We'll do a strategic sales video, we'll do a short B-roll video, and then we'll do a static post and then a carousel. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that video is the be all and end all. I'm saying they work hand in hand with everything else. So, which is why on LinkedIn, visual infographics and things are really powerful at the moment. If you can take a complicated piece of information and make it visual, we learn so much better. So this is why having multiple pieces of content helps. And that's why I was going back to with the Facebook ads. If you're putting up a strategic video and you look at your metrics, you might go, but they actually all clicked on the static post, but they all watched the actual video first. But it was that one static post that tipped them over the edge. It was the one story that you posted on Instagram that actually got them over. So they all work hand in hand. It's just not one thing. And if you look at any big player, any big content creator that does a lot of ads, they will all have different formats of ads running as well. All right. So now that's the 5 different ways of why we want to repurpose our content. So now let's look at, how do we repurpose content? Let's look at the step-by-step way on how I share inside our Content Catalyst Blueprint. This is essentially what I step you through when we create content in repurpose content. So I always start with, obviously, know your audience. That's always number 1, is that if you know your audience and you have clear messaging, that is just 101. The next stage is to create good strategic content. Now, there's 2 types of that. And well, it's not, there's more, but I'm just going to go for this instance of going, there is our A-roll talking head video content, and then there's B-roll content. Okay, so first of all, if we're building a content library of good, solid content, it makes it easier to repurpose content. But the starting point is I can repurpose content made 2 years ago and pull stuff out of a content library. And that is because it was strategically well made to start with. So if we're talking about generic B-roll clips, when you have a shoot day, for example, I recommend getting some really good B-roll content that is generic for your business, and then also get some really good A-roll content that is like generic for your business as well. That sits in your content library. That is stuff that you can pull out. I know some of my best like reels that have done really well on Instagram are literally me pulling out a 5-second clip and putting it up thinking, I wasn't even going to take that clip. Have you ever noticed that? Okay, so we want to build up a good content library. That's super helpful for the days that you don't want to turn up online, but it's also really good supportive content that we want when we want to add B-roll over our talking head video. Okay, so B-roll, by the way, is video that shows people, places, or product, and it's not you talking to camera. It's just showing people what you're doing. When it comes to repurposing content, though, we want to make sure that we're sharing relevant current content. And I say relevant current content because, again, if you go back to the search engines, they're looking for when did you write a blog last? Blogs are not generally for us to read. It's for the search engines. And I say not for us to read. We do read blogs, but not like we used to. It's changed. Think of your blogs as an SEO machine. So if you have a good video library, it means that you can repurpose that content and remix it with current content. So why do we want to start with a relevant piece of content that answers specific questions people are asking? Is because the search engines love information that has been recently posted and shared. If you haven't put a blog up on your website for 2 years, unfortunately, those search engines, when they go out looking for the information, I'm just thinking about if I was a winery in the Hunter Valley and I'm looking to come to the Hunter Valley for a 3-day weekend, and you go over to ChatGPT or Google or wherever you go to search for your information, I use Perplexity, then it's going out looking for the highest ranking websites. It's going to look for the highest ranking reviews, and it's going to look for the most current website that has current information or social media that's been posted. That's it in a nutshell. So you need to be making content that's relevant and current. You can always repurpose content from 2 years ago. However, you also still need to be creating and sharing content that is current as well to stay up to date. So how do we do that? Well, I start with long form content. So long form content is content that is longer to consume, but it also stays around longer. So an example of that is a YouTube video, a blog, a podcast, a LinkedIn newsletter, article. These are forms of long form content that have a lot more information that is scrapable by search engines. So what I recommend is starting with a hero piece of video. So that hero piece of video, I say, is a video podcast because it enables you to then repurpose it easily across different platforms. And so this video that I'm sharing with you now is going on my podcast. So you'll be able to listen to it when you're going for a walk or driving in your car. And if I start with that hero video, I can then take that one video, and then when I go to edit it, I use CapCut for editing my videos because that's what I teach inside Content Catalyst. Each month is a video editing session. And so CapCut is a great program for you to go in and simply edit a video without spending a lot of money doing it. And I know there's some great programs out there. I know a lot of people like to use Descript and things like that. You do you, but I'm just saying is that I can use CapCut, go in, edit my video, and get 3 pieces of cool content out of that. So once I have my video, I can then go over and it's edited. I export 3 important files. I export an MP4, which is the video. I export an MP3, which is the audio, and I export the transcription, which is the text of what I've said. And with those 3 files, I can then go over and make 15 plus pieces of content from those 3 files. And this is the step that most people miss, because I know that when I speak to business owners, they will create a blog and then they'll go over and create different videos, but there's no synchronized theme. And the reason why we want a synchronized theme is because it helps to amplify your original message. Okay, so if you're running a campaign, you need to amplify and repeat what you're doing. That's the whole point of a campaign. When you have a themed topic for the month, you can come in and go, that one theme can be told 4 different ways. Again, remember, we learn differently. And this is why video series are really important, because it breaks down a complicated topic into bite-sizable pieces. So when we start with that hero video, what we then do is we have, look, here's the thing. When people think of a video podcast, that they have to be like, Mel Robbins' show or Diary of a CEO show that goes for 2 hours long. We don't. It can be 5 minutes. 5 minutes of you talking to camera about a topic that you help people with, that answers a specific question people are asking about that, is all you need. 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, if you can get across your message, you're still going to have 15 plus pieces of content. Now, if you just did that 4 times a month, so for 20 minutes a month, filmed a video, you would have over 80 pieces of content marketing. Like, that's as simple as it gets if you start with that first hero video. So let's take that hero video, and then what we're going to do is we're going to break it down. So we're going to take that one video. I'm going to go over to YouTube. I'm going to upload that onto YouTube. I'm then going to go over to Perplexity AI, and I got AI assistant set up there to help with my workflow. And before I even record the episode, I'll just take a step back for a second. Before I even record the episode, and this is the step most people miss, is that I like to research my topic. This is the most important part. Think of it like painting the house. If you're in a bedroom, painting the bedroom, if you don't wash the walls and mask up and move the furniture, you're going to have a really terrible paint job, okay? And painting the walls is actually the quick part. The research part is the most important part. So I go in and I'm like, and I did it last night. I was like, went over to Perplexity and I asked it to give me the top questions people were asking about editing videos. Using CapCut, and it gave me the top searched volumed, and then it gave me suggested topics that I could talk about. So once you've got that hero topic and you know that that's what people are asking and searching for, then you record the video. Then you go and take those 3 files, and then you can then use AI to then write your title. So important. The title of whatever your blog and your videos are called and your podcast is so important for click-through. So then we take that transcription and we go over to Perplexity. I put it in my AI assistant, literally just upload that file, click a button, and this is what it will give me. It'll give me the title suggestion, so that's optimized, that's SEO. It'll give me the description of my show notes. Again, that helps for the search engines to recommend the content. And then once I've got those 2 pieces of content, I can then go back over to YouTube, upload the video, go over to my podcast. I use Kajabi, so I can go in, upload that podcast, and then I can then ask my AI assistant to then write me a blog using my words, which is the transcription. So take that, what I've said, and just rewrite it as a blog. So it's still me talking, but it's just written in a blog form. And blogs need to be written with a hierarchy of header tags as well, and it'll do that for you. So that just means, again, search engines can find your content. So you take that blog, I go back over to Kajabi, I upload it over there. Then I go over to Canva, and then I make my thumbnails. So my thumbnails, I have one thumbnail, which goes to YouTube. Thumbnails matter, by the way. Um, and then I can press a button again in Canva and it'll resize it for all of the different social medias. So I don't have to spend ages trying to make different thumbnails. I just use that one piece of artwork and just resize it. So then I've now got a thumbnail for YouTube, a thumbnail for my podcast, a thumbnail for my blog. I then take that blog and I go over to LinkedIn, and then I use that blog as my newsletter article on LinkedIn. Different audience over there. And I, again, have got that thumbnail. And then out of that, I now have two written forms. I've got blog, I've got LinkedIn. I'm recently been using Substack as well. So that's, again, another place that I can paste my blog. All again using that one artwork. And this has just come from that one video. And then out of there, so they're my long form pieces of content done. They're optimized. They're going to stay around for a while. They're going to do the heavy lifting as far as SEO for my website. And then I'm going to now go over and make short form content. So we've got short form content looks like videos that are vertical, and then generally under 2 minutes as well. So I know like Instagram and that you can do 3-minute videos, but if I look at what LinkedIn's recommendations are, for example, on their video feed, they've said that anything under 2 minutes is ideal. And that's what I stick with. So you've got the short form video, and how we do that, we're going to go back over to CapCut. Once that has finished editing, with a click of a button, you can create up to 20 short clips of like optimized short clips from that one hero video with a click of a button. This is all AI generated. This is why AI is more than just writing in a prompt in ChatGPT. The AI is embedded into so much of what we do. It's just a matter of knowing how to use it. So again, I've got my short clips. Now, I don't generally use 20 of them. I find that it's pretty good as a lot of these short clip makers are. I still find that it's not always on point with the part that I want to talk about. That's just me. But at the end of the day, you've got, you may have like say 4 really good clips that you can just share across your week. So now you've got, let's say 4 short clips, and now we've got a post. So we've got a post out of Canva that we can now go over and share that information. And then you can actually go over to Napkin. So Napkin is an AI program that will take your words of what you've written in your blog, and it will make a visual representation, like an infographic of that. And why Napkin is really cool is because, one, it's free, but it will also help break down a complicated part of information that is complicated and break it down into something that's visual for us to learn. Remember, 65% of us are visual creatures. So you can go over and use that. Now, all of a sudden, you've got LinkedIn posts. You've also got your Instagram, Facebook posts, and TikTok. You can actually share, visuals as well now. So now, once you do that, I like to go over and do a live. Once I have my posts out and my content out, I like to go over and announce that there's a new podcast that's dropped. Go and check out the video. And so then I can go live. I can go a little bit deeper in my live talking about it. I'll go and share it on my story. I'll share it in my feed. So this is how really quickly you take that one hero topic and then you break it down into everything. Now, then we have schedulers. If you can schedule out your content. Now, I know, yes, you can go over and use Meta, but these days there's so many other platforms that you can access. Now, I use Vista Social, and I love Vista Social. I think it is one of the best schedulers. Think of it like Metrical. It's like that. So if you know Later and Buffer and all of those programs, Vista Social is next level for its analytics. You can also reply to your comments in one place as well, so you don't actually have to go over to different platforms. Like I've got somebody that goes, their audience is on TikTok, but they don't want to engage on TikTok. Like, it's just not where they want to hang out. And I get it. So they can actually just go over to Vista Social and reply to all their comments and engage just in Vista Social instead of on the app. So that is why Vista, and also they've made a few upgrades as well, which I'm really excited about, because I was in there on the weekend and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that could do that now. For example, I can add trending music on my short clips. I can add content to stories. I can schedule stories. I've got an ideas board. I've got a TikTok and Instagram planner if you like to look at it in the grid. So having a good scheduler is important, but then also knowing the analytics. So it's got excellent analytics for your competitors and also for your own metrics as well. So definitely check that out. AI. So let's talk about the tools to do this, right? So I've mentioned a few tools now. So I'm going to start with the number one. Like, I'm using StreamYard to record this episode on, but you can use Zoom. You can use, like, there are so many, like even CapCut has actually got a free Chrome extension that you can put on your computer and actually record in there, and you can share screen with it as well. So there are so many options for you to record, but I like StreamYard because I like to use it for live streaming as well as recording. So we got StreamYard or Zoom, whatever you want to do to record your hero video. Then I use CapCut to edit it. Then I use Perplexity. And the reason why I use Perplexity is because I like to use different AI models. So in Perplexity Pro, which is like $20 a month, literally the best assistant I've ever had, I can switch between 7 different AI models and they'll give me different answers. So I really love Claude for writing. I feel like it's a really lovely, natural tone that it gives. I love DeepSeek. DeepSeek just gives me really good, nuanced information as far as like analytics and stats. So I use Perplexity. And you can set up AI assistants in there, which shortcut that workflow with a click of a button. I can have a blog. Click of a button, I can have my outline of my podcast. So that's so we got StreamYard, CapCut, Perplexity, Canva, and then, like I said, you can go over and use Napkin if you want to bring your visuals to life as well, and that's free, that one. So there you go. There's my tech tools, and then Vista Social as well to schedule out your content. So that is the tech stack that I'm currently using. And I say currently using because tech changes all the time. I had somebody that did a strategy session with me, 2 years ago, and messaged me going, can I grab that replay? And the thing is, I'm like, yeah, you can grab the replay, but it's probably out of date. It's like, that's the thing, because as I learn information, I can give you information back, and I try and stay up to date on it. I'm going to do a whole series of AI image generators and also video generators as well, because there's some really cool AI video generators that we can use now. But for today, I just want you to think about those key tech stacks to help you create your content really easily. So if you're a solo earner, operator, if you're a small business owner with not a lot of time or a very small team, start with that one hero video. Make sure that it is a well-researched topic. Again, use Perplexity to find that out of what people are asking about your business, about the topic that you help people with. Record it. You can batch it up. So if you're a batching person, you can record 4 videos a month. So put aside a day to record your videos, your 4 videos, and then another day to edit it or outsource it. And then you can just have it all done and batched up. Personally, for my own business, I generally don't batch. I'm not a batcher, but when I work with my clients, I batch their content. So just work with whatever works for you. And then when you have this system and you have a strategy, if you have a strategy, it makes it easier to outsource. If you have a system, it makes it easier for you to outsource as well. And that way you're just turning up to record your video. Any video. Okay, so the final question is, yeah, but I'm a cafe. Why would I want to do a video podcast? That's a great question. Here's the thing, right? Is that it doesn't matter your business. I feel like there is an opportunity for you to create long form content, and you just have to modify it to go to your business needs. Now, there's a business down on the Central Coast where I live. They're two drunk accountants talking about number stuff, but they make it in such a way that it relates to their audience, because they serve like a lot of like the trade industry. So they really talk about stuff that we don't want to hear about, but they talk about it in such a way that it relates to their audience. There is a company that I follow that he's an eye doctor, and he does the best content online on YouTube, and he's an eye doctor, like literally one of the most boring things, and he has millions of subscribers and viewers. So it doesn't matter the industry. If you have a business, I believe there is an opportunity for you to do long form content and bring in your community to help you with that content as well, which again extends your reach and collaborations with what you do and how you sustain your business. Like I said, we want growth in our business, but first we need to sustain it. And sustaining it means to constantly show up, to be relevant, because there's a saying by, I think it's the head in a video. He says, AI won't take your jobs, but people using AI will. And that is the fact, is that what used to take days to do with content creation can now be done in hours and on a level like we've never seen. So it's so much easier than ever. Just know the systems. So I hope this has helped you feel a little bit inspired. If you're thinking, I don't know how I would be able to do that, comment below what your industry is in the comments, and I will make some suggestions for what sort of content that you could make. Set me the challenge. I'd love you to challenge me of going, this is my business, this is who I help. What content could I actually create as a YouTube video podcast? And I'll make some suggestions for you. All right. If this episode has been helpful, let me know in the comments. Share it with somebody who needs to help promote their business and sustain their business and get more visible online. I'm Deb Szabo, and until the next episode of Content Catalyst, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.